whatever round I give to them some cleats. Some warm, some didn't, but I was like, okay, this is just my little appreciation gift to them. Because they don't be having a lot of stock.
My expectations have absolutely changed. Absolutely. My expectations have changed because a lot of what we're hearing from Cleveland has changed. Again,
I thought those 2 touchdown passes were really beautiful passes. Can't really necessarily coach a gamer. That's something that is inherent in a player.
can Shedeur Sanders play football in the NFL?
And I think he's just got that it factor. I really do. I think he's got that it factor, and that is so important.
He was drafted in the 5th round. Barely anyone expected him to start. Now, he's outselling the entire league. Shedeur Sanders just raked in $250 million in rookie jersey sales without a single regular season snap. And Nike? They're scrambling to lock down a deal that could make him the highest paid rookie endorser in history. But this isn't just about money. Because what started as a flashy cleat drop exposed something the NFL was never prepared for. And behind the glitz, the viral ads, and the watch flex, there's a master plan unfolding that could rewrite the future of professional sports forever. So, how did a 5th-round quarterback, with more critics than fans, suddenly become the most powerful rookie in the game? Let's break it down. When the NFL preseason kicked off, no one expected the biggest headline to come from a rookie who hadn't even started a regular season game. But after Shedeur Sanders took the field for his debut against the Carolina Panthers, something wild happened. Not just a highlight reel, not a viral moment, what happened next broke business records. In just weeks, Shedeur moved over in $250 million in jersey sales. Not in his first season, not after a breakout performance. Within days of stepping on the field, to put that in perspective, most rookie quarterbacks, especially those drafted outside the 1st round, struggle to sell even a few thousand jerseys in their entire rookie season. Shedeur? He sparked a financial storm that hadn't been seen since, well, his father, Deion Primetime Sanders, ran showbiz-style playmaking through the league. That's where things get even crazier. Of that record-breaking merch flood, $14 million went directly to Shedeur himself. His entire 4-year rookie contract with the Browns, worth only $4.6 million, which means Sanders has already tripled his guaranteed income without logging a single regular season snap. This put the league on notice. Not just fans, not just media, executives, owners, sponsors, everyone. Because up until now, jersey sales weren't something 5th-round picks dominated. Shedeur completely flipped the script on what matters most in modern sports: brand power. You don't need to be the starting QB on day 1 anymore. You just need the spotlight, and Shedeur's figured out how to own it. He didn't just sell jerseys. He became the unexpected face of NFL preseason hype, the player everyone was watching, whether they liked it or not. And while fans flooded Nike's website trying to grab the latest Stu-branded cleats and Browns gear, something bigger was brewing behind the scenes.
That 74% completion percentage, which led the FBS last year, that wasn't just because he didn't want to throw the ball away or he didn't want to complete a Hail Mary. That is legit accuracy that he has.
Reports started leaking that Nike was preparing something massive, a historic contract extension that could make Sanders the highest paid rookie endorser the brand has ever signed. That's not just rare, it's unheard of. The closest comparisons are legendary names who've built entire empires off the field. Names like LeBron, Jordan, Deion, and Sanders just added his name to that list with nothing but a preseason jersey, a signature flex, and a strategy that left NFL insiders completely stunned. He didn't bend the rookie system. He bypassed it entirely. But when the league realized why Sanders was taking home millions from merch sales, the narrative turned fast. Quiet admiration turned into tension. Agents were whispering. Executives were raising eyebrows. Because this wasn't just a sales phenomenon. This was a warning shot. And the reason it all happened? It wasn't performance. It wasn't media training. It was one groundbreaking clause hidden deep in his rookie contract, and it shook the league to its core.
The clause is called prime equity. This clause gives Sanders a percentage of revenue generated from merchandise, sponsorships, and promotions linked to his name and likeness. If he becomes like a superstar, he could be the richest NFL player ever.
The moment NFL executives saw the sales numbers, they weren't just surprised, they were confused. How was a 5th-round rookie making superstar money? They expected a hot start, maybe even a burst of media hype. But $14 million off jerseys alone? That doesn't happen without something unusual behind it. And that's when whispers started breaking from inside league circles. Shedeur Sanders had something that almost no NFL rookie has ever successfully negotiated, a clause buried deep in his contract the league had never seen come from a mid-round pick. It's called the Prime Equity Clause. At first, it sounded like a typical marketing machine buzzword until insiders discovered what it actually gave him: a direct percentage of all revenue made from any product, sponsorship, or campaign involving his name, image, or likeness. Jerseys, posters, TikToks, ads, cleats, anything. If it had Shedeur's face or name on it, he got paid. And this wasn't just some post-draft negotiation win. According to several reports, this clause was a deal-breaker written into his contract demands long before he ever stepped on the field. Some believe that's exactly why Sanders slipped in the draft. Executives bristled at the idea of a college player, not a first-round star, not a Heisman winner, but a fifth-round prospect, demanding equity as if he were already an icon. His agents pushed for full media rights, revenue sharing, and long-term brand ownership, all things NFL teams aren't used to negotiating with rookies. And many NFL insiders hated it. They called it arrogant, entitled, a marketing stunt. One scout even anonymously said Shedeur and his father were trying to game the system and that the NFL doesn't work that way. But here's the twist, it did work. Sanders' legal team secured the Prime Equity Clause, and now, with that single contract line, he's collapsed the entire structure of how rookies traditionally earn in the NFL. This is the kind of leverage superstars gain after a Hall of Fame career. Sanders walked into the league with it from day one. But what's even wilder, that clause didn't just change his bank account, it's now changing how other rookies approach their contracts. Teams are watching closely, trying to avoid setting a precedent. Because if one player can flip the system before ever taking a regular season snap, others will follow. And Sanders didn't stop at Prime Equity. Reports suggest he also kept creative control of his digital media, giving him ownership of things like YouTube content, Twitch streams, and behind-the-scenes docuseries. So when you see a viral Sanders clip online, just know he's not renting his image. He owns it. It's not hard to see why the league feels threatened. Sanders isn't just playing football. He's running a business. His business. And Nike? They weren't just in on it, they helped engineer it. While NFL execs were questioning his draft value, Nike already knew what they had. Months before the 2025 draft even happened, the swoosh made a move that no other sportswear giant was willing to risk. They went all in on Shedeur Sanders, fully committed, no safety net. While every other company was holding their breath, waiting to see where Shedeur would land in the draft, Nike was already flooding timelines with custom gear, signature cleats, and teaser content, all built around a quarterback who hadn't even made the league yet. And this wasn't just a regular endorsement deal, it was a legacy reboot. Because what most people don't know is that Nike's entire strategy with Shedeur was built around reviving one of their most iconic athlete partnerships ever, Deion Sanders' 90s primetime era. Back when Deion was dominating two sports at once, Nike created the Air Diamond Turfline sneakers that symbolized flash, dominance, and crossover athletic greatness. That sneaker line became a cultural phenomenon, especially with Black youth who saw Deion as more than just a player, but a lifestyle. Fast forward to 2025. And now it was Shedeur's turn. Nike reimagined those sneakers as the Air DT Max 96 and built them into Shedeur's Pro Day rollout with matching cleats and apparel featuring his custom Stu logo, a $sign inside a square. Not just a nod to his number, but a full-on statement. This is not a regular rookie. What made Nike's approach legendary wasn't just the nostalgia play, it was the timing. Unlike other brands who wait until after a player proves themselves, Nike jumped first. They backed Shedeur before he had a draft slot, before he had a team, before he threw an NFL pass. On April 24, 2025, Nike broke months of social media silence with a full campaign dedicated to Sanders, featuring the caption, "Nothing left to prove, 4.24 inbound." They weren't guessing, they were planting a flag. And when Shedeur made his preseason debut for the Browns, completing 14 of 23 passes for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, that flag turned into a revolution. Within hours, Nike had posted a polished ad with Sanders flexing his watch celebration. The caption? "Only a matter of time." That wasn't just a catchphrase, it was prophecy. The ad hit 11 million impressions in one day, smashing Nike's average performance metrics. Retailers couldn't restock fast enough. Influencers, rappers, even overseas fans were reposting his highlights and gear. Nike didn't just sign a rookie, they invested in a storied one that combined legacy, identity, strategy, and swagger, and most importantly, one that they could own from the beginning. But their biggest win wasn't viral numbers or sold-out cleats. It was proving they could build a cultural icon before the NFL ever gave its approval. By the time Shedeur Sanders stepped onto an NFL field, Nike had already turned him into a brand. What happened next? Wasn't luck, wasn't hype. It was one of the most precisely executed marketing campaigns ever built around a rookie, an operation months in the making and designed to do one thing: make Sanders unavoidable. Nike didn't take the typical route of athlete endorsements. They didn't promote him based on combine stats or promise. They built a narrative crafted with authenticity, legacy, and a deep understanding of fan culture. And they began before the league even picked him. Let's break it down. First, the gear pipeline. Rather than rolling out generic cleats and recycled jersey templates, Nike launched a full-blown product ecosystem dedicated to Shedeur. This included signature Vapor Edge 360 DT's cleats, modeled after his dad's Diamond Turf line. Remixed Air DT Max 96 sneakers in Pro Day gray and team custom colorways. A full apparel line with his Stu $ logo. Cleveland Browns draft game jerseys in men's, women's, and youth versions. That's not just branding, that's infrastructure. Everything was designed to feel both premium and accessible. Jerseys ran from $130 to $175, while Stu-branded tees stayed under $50, creating entry points for hardcore collectors and casual fans alike. While competitors were still trying to secure rookie rights, Nike had entire supply chains activated. Second, distribution domination. Nike didn't limit sales to just its main channels. They partnered with Dick's Sporting Goods, Rally House, and eBay for licensed resellers. Within hours of Sanders' preseason debut, inventory began disappearing nationwide. But Nike's real power move wasn't product. It was control of the story. They knew viral moments don't come from corporate press releases. They come from authenticity, and timing. So when Sanders delivered a clean, confident preseason performance, Nike wasn't scrambling behind the scenes. They were already ready. Literally within hours, their creatives pushed out the now iconic "Only a Matter of Time" video, pairing real game footage with edited clips of his watch celebration and Browns branding. It exploded. Over 196, 0 likes, thousands of reposts, and 11.1 million views across platforms in a day. Meanwhile, influencer accounts like Soul Retriever and Jordan Schultz organically amplified the rollout, sharing behind-the-scenes footage, cleat zoom-ins, and even snapshots of Times Square, where Nike had installed a full billboard campaign featuring Shedeur as their newest face. He wasn't just a football player anymore, he was now seated right next to other Nike legends gracing monumental ad spaces. And then came the ripple effect. Other brands took notice. Gatorade, Beats by Dre, Mercedes-Benz. They all scrambled to activate their existing NIL relationships with Sanders, but none could match Nike's head start or their emotional advantage. Nike had tied Shedeur to something bigger than sports, a legacy, a rebellion, a movement. And while the league was still debating his draft grade, Nike had just rewritten the endorsement playbook completely. For every sold-out cleat, every viral ad, and every billboard in Times Square, there was someone behind the scenes rolling their eyes. Because while Nike and Sanders were rewriting the blueprint, the NFL establishment wasn't exactly applauding. From the moment Shedeur's draft stock began sliding, something felt off. A quarterback with back-to-back 0 John-yard college seasons. Clean mechanics, pocket poise, NFL bloodline. Yet, somehow, he fell all the way to the 5th round, and the league tried to spin it as questionable intangibles. But if that sounds familiar, it should. Because the criticism? It didn't stop with football. It got personal. Anonymous scouts and executives suddenly flooded media reports, describing Sanders with code words long used to undercut star black quarterbacks. Entitled, "Self-centered," "Terrible body language," some claimed he blamed his teammates in interviews. Others said he had too much flash and needed to be humbled. And almost all of them did it from the shadows. No names, no accountability, just leaks, narratives, and damage. He needs to separate from his father, one exec said, suggesting that Dion's presence was more of a problem than a legacy. Another claimed Shedeur's contract demands mainly the prime equity clause made teams uncomfortable. What they really meant was, he didn't follow the script. Ask around off record, and you'll find the phrase plantation mindset being whispered among players and insiders. The idea that, in the eyes of some within the league, young black athletes are expected to be grateful rather than strategic, quiet, not empowered. And when one of them dares to ask for ownership, there's backlash. And Sanders wasn't just asking, he was demanding it. Before the draft, Deion famously warned teams that if his son didn't land in the right system, he wasn't going. Critics said it was arrogant. But supporters saw it for what it really was, a protective move in a system that often chews up talent and spits it out. On social media, the split was just as sharp. Fans were calling him the new generation. But for many analysts and insiders, any mistake became fuel. And then came his first real misstep. In June 2025, Shedeur was cited for speeding twice, once at 91 miles per hour in a 65 zone, and again for clocking 101 in a 60. The media erupted. His character was called into question. Headlines popped up overnight. Immature. Dangerous. Spoiled. But here's the part no one talked about. Two of his teammates had similar violations in the past, including star defender Myles Garrett, and somehow their incidents slipped quietly under the radar. Different treatment, different standards. The backlash didn't come from fans. It came from a power structure uncomfortable with a rookie flipping the rules. And suddenly, Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a quarterback with endorsements. He had become a threat. By the time the speeding violations hit the headlines, the media had already written the Shedeur Sanders storyline. They were just looking for confirmation. One citation might have slipped through quietly. Two? At triple digits in a 60 zone? Suddenly, commentators had material, and they didn't waste a second. Outlets blasted the news across sports segments with headlines like, Shedeur Sanders starting NFL career with trouble, cocky or careless? Another primetime problem. Even the Browns front office spoke out. GM Andrew Berry called the behavior not smart and dangerous, a public reprimand, rarely seen for rookies before their first regular season snap. And to some extent, Sanders didn't dodge responsibility. On a Twitch stream, he admitted, "I made some wrong choices," and confirmed he paid the fines. But by then, the story had already been framed, not as a mistake, but as a warning sign. What a lot of viewers missed, though, was the double standard in full effect. Veteran Browns star Myles Garrett, a respected leader and face of the franchise, had multiple speeding tickets on record, including one incident where he flipped his Porsche going well over 100 miles per hour. And while it made the news, it was treated as an isolated incident, not a reflection of his character. No questions about flash, no questions about entitlement, no accusations that he needed to be humbled. With Shedeur, every slip fed the narrative. Suddenly, the jewelry became a distraction. His confidence became arrogance. His digital brand, which had made him millions, was painted as a sign that he wasn't focused on football. Every watch flex, every customized cleat, every social post was being used against him. And it begged the question, were people criticizing the behavior? Or the confidence behind it? The pressure wasn't just external. Internally, Sanders faced escalating challenges. Teammate comparisons, playoff-level expectations, and a locker room divided between fans of his marketing power and skeptics of the hype. Even when his preseason QB rating topped 106.8, well above first-round rookie Dillon Gabriel, critics dug into his 94 college sacks across 2 seasons and labeled him reckless behind the line. Few mentioned that Colorado's offensive line was one of the worst in the nation during that stretch, or that Sanders still maintained over 4 passing yards in that chaos. None of it mattered, because headlines sell. And Shedeur, with a viral name and a family legacy, was an easy target. And in the eyes of critics, every slip-up was proof he wasn't ready. But the truth is, this scrutiny wasn't just about sports. It was about the audacity to do things differently. And the closer Sanders got to real influence, the louder the noise became. But what happens when an entire league is rooting for your downfall, and you keep winning anyway? For all the chaos surrounding his draft slide, media criticism, and off-field controversy, here's what most people are missing. Shedeur Sanders is still winning. Before he's even taken a single regular season snap, he's already done something most NFL players, rookie or veteran, spend years chasing: financial independence, brand ownership, and total control over his image. His $4.6 million rookie contract? That's pocket change compared to what he's already made in jersey commissions alone. Thanks to the now infamous prime equity clause, Sanders has already pulled in over $14 million from merchandise and marketing. That's triple what most fifth-rounders see across their entire careers. Then there's the media rights deals. According to reports, Sanders retained full ownership of his digital likeness. That includes platform control over YouTube vlogs, Twitch live streams, behind-the-scenes content, exclusive docuserie footage, brand partnerships under his own production team. This isn't just smart, it's revolutionary. In an era when college athletes are breaking free from NCAA restrictions, Shedeur is already operating like a seasoned entrepreneur. Everything from his cleats to his captions is part of a bigger plan, one that's already working. And Nike? They're still fully behind him. The early whispers suggest his rookie shoe line codenamed LL2C and Pro982 is already moving into pre-production. If that signature release hits shelves next season, he could become the first NFL player in a decade to receive a global Nike sneaker drop before playing a regular season game. Add in major partnerships with Mercedes-Benz, Beats by Dre, and Gatorade. And Sanders isn't just endorsing products, he's curating his brand like a top-tier executive. Meanwhile, on the field, he's proving his critics wrong. In the preseason alone, he clocked a 106.8 QB rating through multiple touchdowns and showed the same calm, calculated pocket presence that set records back at Colorado. And let's not forget, this is a player who had over 40 passing yards and 37 touchdowns during his most recent college season, behind one of the worst offensive lines in the country. The man knows how to survive the storm and then make money from it. Every time they doubted his maturity, he showed restraint. Every time they questioned his branding, he delivered numbers. Every time they tried to bring him down, he leveled up. So no, this isn't hype. This isn't flash over fundamentals. This is a calculated, generational shift in how athletes are choosing to play the game even before the whistle blows. And at just 22 years old, Shedeur Sanders is already showing every athlete watching. You don't have to wait for legacy. You can build it now. Shedeur Sanders didn't just break into the NFL. He cracked open a blueprint that could change the way every young athlete approaches the game, not just on the field, but behind the scenes where the real power lives. Because now the league has a problem. Shedeur's model is working. He's out-earning most veterans, outperforming expectations, and outmaneuvering a narrative designed to bury him. And that success? It's already shaking the ground beneath the NFL's long-standing control structure. Rumors are spreading fast. Top college prospects, especially QBs and skill positions, are reportedly watching Sanders' contract language very closely. Some agents are already pushing for similar prime equity-style clauses in next year's negotiation windows. They're not just targeting a rookie deal, they're targeting ownership. Think about the stakes. If one rookie can demand equity, brand rights, content control, and walk away with millions before even starting a game, how long do you think it will take before every future star wants the same? And the NFL may not be ready. For decades, the league has been built around a strict hierarchy. Rookies earn their keep, teams control the narrative, endorsements come second, if at all. But Sanders flipped that script and proved that if you come in with a plan, a brand, and the right team, you don't have to wait to win. That's why reports of a potential signature Nike shoe line aren't just hype, they're historic. The prototypes, rumored to be titled LL2C and Pro982, aren't just designs. They represent the first steps towards something only a few athletes have ever achieved, their name on an empire. But the impact goes deeper than cleats and contracts. Nike's international marketing strategy has already positioned Sanders as more than just a football player. In overseas social campaigns, he's portrayed as the face of youth innovation, business ownership, and fearless self-promotion. Nike isn't selling Shedeur Sanders. The athlete, they're selling Shedeur Sanders, the brand. That branding has implications far beyond the gridiron. With Gen Z and Gen Alpha athletes growing up in the NIL era, the next Shedeur could be right around the corner, one who's already locking down digital rights, negotiating equity, and skipping the traditional playbook entirely. Of course, none of this is guaranteed. Injuries could still slow him down. Team politics might limit his starting time. The spotlight, just as it builds you, can burn you if you're not ready. But if Sanders delivers on the field even modestly, he won't just have changed his future. He will have sparked a new era where athletes are brands, contracts are partnerships, and the league no longer holds all the power. And that's the part that really has the NFL on edge. Because now, every game Sanders plays, every pass, touchdown, or mistake, isn't just about winning, it's about proving that the old system might already be done. Shedeur Sanders isn't just rewriting what it means to be a rookie, he's redefining the entire game. He's made more before week 1 than most players do in 4 seasons, took control of his name, his brand, and his future, and forced the NFL to ask a question it's never had to face. What happens when the players stop asking permission and start owning everything? Whether he becomes a superstar or not, one thing is already clear. He changed the system, and now every young athlete is watching. Every endorsement exec is adjusting, and the league is holding its breath. Because if this works, there's no going back.